regarding the adoption of local law number 4 of the town of Seneca law for the year 2020. This local law will amend section 280-14 of the Seneca Town Code relating to parking restrictions. A copy of the above local law has been available for inspection in the office of the town clerk, located at 130 Boulder Street. Any resident of the town of Seneca law will be heard on said local law at such public hearing. For those of you who are keeping track, a few months ago, between Dean Zettelmeyer and Chief Keenstra and Jim Peterson and myself, and then Nikki, we went through and tried to make our parking consistent. Some places were marked inappropriately. They were marked no parking, but in our codes, or in our codes, it didn't match up. So we went through all the old village and basically street by street, section by section, and we came up with the changes to make it consistent. This is not taking parking away at all. In some places, it may take parking away, but for the most part, it's increased parking. And the goal of this local law is to make parking consistent, that the signs match up with the law or the code, and where we have to add signs, do so. So if anybody would like to comment at this public hearing for the parking changes based on section 2814 of the Town of Seneca Law Code. Okay, with no comment, then the public hearing for local law 4 is closed. A motion to close the public hearing. I'm not sure a motion to open. A motion to close the public hearing. Gage Lay, second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Our second public hearing is improvement of sanitary sewer system facilities. Order after public hearing. So this basically we had a special meeting earlier in August to basically provide bonding for our equalization tank that is being that needs to be replaced at our sewer treatment plant down in Seneca Street. And this public hearing is to take any comments related to the bonding of that project. That project, I believe, is at $5.6 million, and I'm sorry, 5.506 to replace the equalization tank. Basically, the equalization tank handles the overflow of water in our system. Unfortunately, there are many businesses as well as residents that are hooked up. Their storm sewers are hooked up into our sewer system, and when it gets too much of the rain like we had last week, it causes a problem. This tank is not big enough, and it also is not able to handle because of its age. So we need to obviously replace it. This has been in the pipeline for over 3 years, and this project is going to start very soon. The public hearing is for the bonding part of it. We are hopeful that we will have grants to help back up our expenditure, but based on what's happening in the world today, no grants have been opened up yet. Normally they have been available 2 months ago. We are ready to go whenever it becomes available. But, so hopefully we're going to get the grants and we can apply it, and they would be that much less money than we would be valued for. Sure, yeah.
And just to be clear, this public hearing is for the bonding of the project. It's also for the project itself. There are the town is divided into several different sewer districts, and so this project would involve a further improvement and, it's further improvement of the facilities of those doing an improvement for a sewer district requires a public hearing. That's what this public hearing is for right now. And in your packets for the board members, you have, there's order for your consideration that would need to be for this public hearing. And then there's also the bond resolution itself, with two separate actions to be taken by the board this evening.
After the public hearing?
Yes.
Under new business?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Okay, so, Pat, I should have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open it, and then the comment.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on the equalization project and the bonding part of the project? I'll move. Thank you. Second? Second. Any discussion? Public hearing is open. Anybody from the public would like to make comment? Okay, have a motion to close the public hearing on the equalization thing. Move. Oh, I'm sorry?
I'll give a written statement.
You're making a comment?
Just providing an overview of a written statement for the project. Normally, just to kind of provide you
Please speak up into that microphone.
written statement, and I will be brief.
Okay.
My name is Pete Baker. I'm going to be partner with Judas, who is the town's design engineer for the project. B&L was obtained by the town in 2019 to provide engineering, design, bid, and construction phase services for the project. The project involves the replacement of an existing program steel tank, originally designed or installed in the late 1980s. The tank is commonly referred to as an equalization tank. For purposes of the project, we are referring to this technology as excess flow tank. The term excess flow provides a more accurate description of tank function. The reason for that is equalization tanks provide to have a certain connotation with respect to what PEC is looking for with respect to the operation of the tank. The tank provides a critical need for the effective operation of the wastewater treatment plant. While the wastewater treatment plant typically operates well below its permitted capacity of 3.5 million gallons per day, during heavy precipitation and runoff snow melt events, the WWPP, the wastewater treatment plant is subject to significant increases in flow that exceed its current capacity to treat short-term spikes in flow. During these events, the plant operators can control the flow entering the plant. The excess flow that does not enter the plant is conveyed to the lift station that houses two pumps that discharge the flow into the tank. The process results in effective dampening the peak flows into the plant and enables operators to better operate the treatment plant. Operation of the tank is critical to ensure effective wastewater treatment during significant wet weather events. However, the existing tank is in poor condition and requires replacement. It leaks whenever it's filled. Typically, the tank is only operated when it counts as heavy rainfall, typically about 1 inch rainfall per hour. Additionally, the tank can involve level monitors, which allow operators to monitor the actual tank and pump vault levels. Have never been operational. New level monitors will be included in the new project, providing operators greater control and oversight of the tank fill and draw cycles when it's operated. During drier periods, the tank rarely is used. During wetter months, the tank is used more frequently. Because the tank leaks when it's filled, town operators must notify the DEC regarding the release of untreated wastewater. This has resulted in DEC issuing several notices of violation and requiring the replacement of this tank. While the town has expended significant funds addressing and mitigating wet weather flows to the treatment plant, the age of much of the sewer system, coupled with additional sources of inflow, e.g. roof drains, sump pumps, results in the need for the treatment tank. Designing the tank, B&L assessed various alternatives, including a new location and varying capacities, ranging from eliminating the tank altogether to looking at 2, 3, or 4 million gallon tanks. Eliminating the tank altogether is neither technically possible due to the limited available footprint, nor would it be cost effective. Evaluating various capacities results in the current tank size being, in our opinion, the correct size for long-term operation treatment plant. The proposed 3 million gallon tank provides sufficient excess storage to handle anticipated future wet weather conditions. We evaluated replacing the tank in its current location versus a new location. The existing tank is installed over a major trunk sewer that conveys wastewater from the southern portion of the town. Relocating the tank provides access to the sewer line should future maintenance be required. Additionally, demolition and replacement of the existing tank can result in a treatment plant operating without this tank for an estimated 6-month period. During that time, the treatment plant would operate with frequent permit violations and likely long-term impacts to the plant due to loss of biosolids necessary to effectively treat wastewater. Therefore, constructing the tank in a new adjacent location is the preferred alternative. The new tank will be constructed in the current upper parking area at the house in the town satellite south storage area and the storage barn currently used by the town highway department. The operation will allow for future access to the existing sewer line as well as maintain current operations of the existing tank. Future use of the upper parking lot will not be impacted. The storage area will be reduced. The satellite south barn access will be maintained throughout construction. As part of the project, we developed a cost estimate. The current estimated cost of the project is $5.458 million. This estimate includes existing tank demolition, partial demolition of the pole barn, new 3 million gallon tank, new wet weather pumps, new yard piping improvements, telemetry additions, essentially the controls I mentioned earlier, electrical improvements to the overall system. As part of the project, the town performed the coordinated review of the seeker. The town served as lead agency determined that there would be no significant adverse environmental impacts as a result of the project. Therefore, negative declaration was issued by the town. Seeker findings were posted in the state's environmental notice bulletin in August 2020. The seeker process is essentially complete. Finally, as part of the project, DNL developed a master plan necessary under Town Law 202B, which is defined as the increased improvement of facilities. The master plan identified the existing sewer duct, potential financing for the project, as well as the overall maximum amount to be expended. There's no planned increase in town sewer rates as a result of this project.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Any questions or comments from the public? I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing on the equalization tank and the bonding part of the equalization tank. We'll move. Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, at this time we're going to start our regular monthly board meeting for the month of September. Town Clerk Nicoletta, would you please take roll call?
Michael Brower.
Present.
David Wireless.
Present.
Dave Churchill.
Here.
David Dyson. Here.
Debbie Jones.
Here. We have a quorum. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. This time I'm going to open up the bid for electrical services. We did an RFP for electrical services for the town. There is only one RFP response. That is from Cardozola Electric. We will look over all the requirements, and I know there's a certificate of insurance here, and an equipment list, and their hourly rate, and how many electricians would be dedicated to the town of Seneca Falls. Kat, can we have to wait until October to accept it, or we can do it tonight?
You can do that, especially since
Just the one. As I look through this, everything is in order. Cardozola Electric is located on Oak Street. They have commercial liability insurance of over $2 million. Reference sheet from a variety of references: Generations Bank, NYCC, Seneca County Facilities Department, Barrett Incorporated. They have a license to operate. They have a long list of readily equipment schedule. They have a certificate of insurance in place. So could I entertain a motion to accept Cardozola Electric to be the electrical contractor for the town of Seneca Falls?
Make that motion.
Thank you. You have a second? Thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah, has that been reviewed by Pat? I'm sorry.
No, it's just open now.
Okay, yeah, but have you reviewed it?
I have not.
Might we have Pat review it before we?
Dude, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'm thinking it might be prudent to have our attorney review it before we vote on it.
Review, what part of it would you like to review? We got time right now. There's no contract in there. Everything is, according to the RFP, is in place. Would you like to take a look at it?
No, I sent the attorney.
Again, there's no legal document in here. Hourly rate is $120 per hour. They got certificate of insurance, which is a requirement of the RFP. They have a equipment list, which is a requirement of the RFP. They have a reference sheet, which is a requirement of the
I guess I'd ask
RFP.
the board this, is anybody else interested in having our attorney look at over that RFP? That's all.
Nobody else is. So.
I just think.
Okay, thank you. So, any further discussion? All in favor of accepting Cartersville Electric for the general contractor, electrical contractors, please say aye. 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 Anybody opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, it's passed 4-1. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Pat? Yeah. Okay, we have some petitioners tonight. Mr. Wade talking about sidewalks on Fall Street, speeding and noise on Overton and Barrett Street. Mr. Wade? Microphone, podium, please speak into the microphone, please.
Everybody hear me? Get real close to it, sir. My name is Jim Wade. I lived in this town many years ago. I was in 64 perhaps. All the way around there. Anyway, I moved back here a few years ago. The reason I'm going to talk about this is simply that I had the misfortune of being legally blind. Doesn't mean I'm totally blind, but doggone close to it. The first topic was the sidewalks on Fall Street. I just walked those sidewalks before I came down here. I think the code enforcement is going to have to go out and regulate the flags again. We have one business that seems to think that they can put them out there at a level that can smack me in the face, which I've had done and I didn't think it was very pleasant. They took it down once, they put it back up again. I complained a couple weeks ago. I was told it would be taken care of immediately. It has not been. Only one business is taking their down out of the two. Second one is the woman's maid products, who told me they weren't going to take it down. Other than that, my only complaint is that on Fall Street we have a bunch of benches. I don't know who's responsible. I was told it was either parks or highway. Those benches, the majority of them have feet that extend beyond the width of the bench. A couple of weeks ago, I was over there and took a header over one of those feet. Didn't get hurt seriously, straight my hands and knees. But again, it wasn't pleasant. I don't know why those benches are there. The only view they have is of the parked cars or the buildings across the street. Hey, I'd like to see anybody sit on the benches. They do. They have some kind of orange marker on their feet to extend out the back. But they do me no good at all unless I'm looking straight down. Now, like I said, I don't know who's responsible for those things. Other than that, I have to tell you that my street walk today was enjoyable. I stopped at Parker's Restaurant, talked to some people, one a visiting nurse, traveling nurse rather, who was having a good time during her stay in this area. Also, 4 people from Michigan were apparently staying on a small boat down the canal that they rented. They are also enjoying themselves, although they got to leave tomorrow. I think you will probably see in the future that the crossing signs will change somewhat as I'm talking with the DOT about how they change those to accommodate people who are applying. Won't really affect you other than the time sequence. Going across the street, go across the bridge, Barrett and Open Street, my biggest complaint over there is that the cars like to apparently self-serve how much noise they make. Not like cars, motorcycles, pickup trucks. Well, the only person I can see that benefits is just doesn't serve any other purpose that I can think of. So it's just self-verification. And also, which has been modified somewhat because of the code of fire, I believe, the speeding is not as much. I think probably because some of the businesses across San Paul Street are not open for those people to go to. But I've seen speeds that I guarantee were 60 miles an hour over there. They seem to like to go to the lane and stop there and then see how fast they can get on East Barrett Street. Now I know that's not so bad. Another time, it's just not the citizens out there walking around. But unfortunately, I, for one, don't like to hear anything rugged coming towards me. And I don't think there's a lot of people don't say anything about it. They live it. All those things are regulated by the law. I don't know what the police department has for speed measurement devices. I have yet to see one in use other than that big sign that you see by the schools and such, which is not really an enforcement tool I know of. I don't think it takes pictures or it records the speeds. Maybe it does record the speeds, but nothing to do with it. That's about all I have to say. I'm not looking for any special treatment. I'm just looking to stay alive right across the streets and stuff. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Wade, for coming in. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I know that you had a concern, and I made sure the benches have been moved up closer to the curb, so there's a wider path to walk down Powell Street. Parks and Recreation is in charge of the benches, so we moved them up towards the curb more. They are used quite frequently by people who just like to, stand and relax and enjoy a nice day. So the park benches aren't going to go anyplace, but we moved them closer to the curb so it's easier for people like yourself to walk, okay? And also, you have to understand that there's businesses in Seneca Falls that, like Parker's you mentioned, that have a business, they have outdoor seating, so sometimes that can clog up the sidewalk a little bit. The good news is with the DRI grant that's coming through and our project that will be starting hopefully in a couple of years, a lot of those issues will be addressed with making sidewalks bigger and so forth, okay? And I will have the police chief start patrolling the intersection of Barrett Street and Ovid Street and see if we can try to discourage some of the things that you're talking about, okay?
I can't totally agree with you at all.
Okay. You wouldn't be the first person who's not done that, that's okay.
Well, I think it deserves a response that just my opinion doesn't do anything. You set a full car there, everybody can do the way. So the car leaves, they'll be going back and open the door. Now, I noticed that there's been a very distinct change, but I relate that to code that people are just not entering policy like they used to and stuff. They're using it for businesses as much.
Okay.
The other point that I had that I forgot to mention was, again, being blind, I am trained to use a cane. For my own peace of mind, I'm fighting doing that. I use a cane, but I don't do the white stick. And when I walk on the sidewalk, which is roughly 4 feet, I expect to have the 4 feet. And people persistently, in certain areas, park their cars on the Now, I realize this isn't a one-car family anymore. Some places it's like 4 or 5 cars. Well, I don't think it's illegal to park in the roadway, except during seasonal parking regulations. Nobody wants to see you do that. There are people that seem to keep their car between the sidewalk and the road. And they got to definitely work to do it because they don't have a lot of room. But other ones just think it's their privilege. In fact, I just had one the other day that I reported to the police. They talked to him. He did it again. I stopped because he was outside and just mentioned something to him. He became very belligerent and basically told me what to do about his lawn. So I just retreated to the sidewalk where I'm entitled to be.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for coming tonight, appreciate it. Our second petitioner, Madeline Castino, Director of our Visitor Center. Thank you.
So as Mike mentioned, I'm Rhonda Destino, the Executive Director of the Town's Visitor Center at 89 Fall Street. I also have my Board President Sheila with me this evening. I want to first thank you all for allowing me to speak and also for your support. And as requested, I will keep this brief. We were pleased to hear back from most of you on the written update that I had provided of the comings and goings of the Visitor Center thus far since we were able to reopen. But tonight we wanted to focus on 2 key pieces: reactivating the Heritage Area Commission and to understand a little bit more about the budget process and protocol. So in our contract, it refers to the Heritage Area Commission that is required of all designated New York State heritage areas, which Seneca Falls is one. This commission started around 1998, and then when the town and the village merged, it has not been reestablished. These details of the commission are outlined in the current town code, 13.1 through 13.3 under boards and commissions section. We have provided a copy of that for your reference this evening. As you read, the purpose of this article of the code is to establish a Heritage Area Commission to govern the activities of and functions of the Visitor Center and the Heritage Area Headquarters. This commission's purpose is different from those of the town's Historic Preservation Commission and the local nonprofit Preserve Seneca Falls. We do not want to dilute the work of these groups with more work, but we also think if this is reestablished that they would be great partners to us. We are asking this governing body to reactivate this commission. This will not cost the board any money, as it is an all-volunteer commission, and the return on creating such a group will allow us to comply with the state's heritage area obligations and to be able to apply for more grants as being a heritage area in the future. I want to be clear that the Seneca Falls Heritage Area is more than just 89 Fall Street. It is so much more than just our building as a location. It has larger goals that could help our tourism potential, and our building just happens to be the recorded headquarters for this work. This is also very timely that there is a national push by some locals to get the Finger Lakes Heritage Area established on a federal level. This would take an act of Congress, so they know it will take some time, but I've been a part of these focus groups and group conversations for getting this done at the federal level. Having a better working and more established local heritage area commitment would only help these efforts. We do have some people that have been in contact with us that if reactivated and the commitment to this purpose, they would be interested in joining. We can provide you with that list of potential members if that's of interest to all of you. So on to my second item of the evening, just the budget process. We want to streamline our process and communications with you all about the budget process year to year. In the past, we've been in multiple lines of the budget, and we're hoping to move that amount that you provide for the visitor center to one budget line item. And that one amount should then be the amount in the contract for ease and consistency as we are planning for our short-term and our long-term goals to continue to transform how we do the tourism work for the town. We are also looking at the potential of the DRI funding and projects in the future and need to focus on that work when it becomes a reality. We know that the town is committed to that process at 89 Falls Street, and if and when selected, we need to have consistent operations for such an undertaking. So the bottom line is we're not asking for any more money than what we received last year. We also know that costs like the flooring and the HVAC projects that were a part of this year's work will also not be in the budget for next year. So we would like to know, what is the process for these logistics that we're asking? It was referred to in an email last week that there's budget work happening, and there's a worksheet that we could get to Bev. We wanted to clarify that to ensure that we're doing the right thing as a part of the process. Should we reach out to Bev specifically, or where should those logistical acts go? Because as you know, our contract is a multi-year contract, so we just want to be on the same page with all of you. Our last reminder is about this Friday's ribbon cutting event. As you know, but I wanted to announce publicly, throughout the DRI process, we had worked with marketing and budgeting and branding experts that the town's visitor center is now the Seneca Falls Heritage and Tourism Center. We're having an event this Friday from 5 to 8 for a grand reopening of our space, so you'll see those new floors and enjoy the AC of the new HVAC systems. And we'll also be having a Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting at 5 p.m. This truly could not have happened without all of your support on the board, but also your team members as town employees have been marvelous to work with. I see a lot of department heads tonight that I really owe a huge round of applause to of lending their staff to help us with this reopening process. So please come enjoy a tour, and also please join us for the ribbon cutting right at 5 o'clock. It's bound to be a good photo op with all of our masks in front of our beautiful building. So if there's any questions from my update tonight or the email that you received last week, I'm happy to answer any of those, or as you know, you can reach out to me at any time. But again, thank you for allowing us to bring these issues forward to you.
Ron, I suggest you and Sheila get together with myself next week sometime, and we can address the commission part of this.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Thank you.
And I'll report back to the board. Certainly, obviously, I was not aware, okay, that there's not a commission in place, okay? And we'll take care of it, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, good luck Friday night.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our third petitioner, Mrs. Gail Sanders.
Well, good evening, everyone. And once again, I'm here to express ongoing concerns of the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee. In previous letters and petitions, I've addressed the operating permit, legal violations, and health concerns associated with SMI. In fact, I've been addressing these issues for over 4 years. Honestly, for over 4 years. First, a sincere thank you to all of you for denying SMI's operating permit due to ongoing odor issues and its flawed reporting system. And I also appreciate, as does our group, you investigating and hopefully implementing an independent reporting program that will be effective. It's the first success we've had with this. Thank you to all of you for looking into that, and I'm hoping that's going to work out. Second, SMI is currently violating and has been violating for over 4 years both Seneca Falls Town Code and New York State Code by allowing owners to leave its property. So the SF Town Code states that no use within any district shall emit an odor that is unreasonably offensive as measured at the property line of use. The New York State Code states, no person shall cause or allow emissions of air contaminants to the outdoor atmosphere of such quality, characteristic, or duration which are injurious to human, plant, or animal life, or to property, or which unreasonably interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of property. Let me repeat that. Which unreasonably interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of property. Despite its attempts to mitigate odors, complaints are still being filed from town residents. Several recent examples come to mind, but this is my stack of odor complaints for the past 4 years. I'm waiting for my recent 2 from several days ago. Please keep in mind, right, this is 4 years of complaints, and I am out of Seneca Falls for an average of 5 months every year. All right, that's a lot of odor complaints, and they're ramping up again from other people. So my recent complaints, I've got one from Tuesday, July 14th, from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. and beyond. I did call in the report after returning from my morning run at home. I called at 8 a.m. The odor investigator showed up at 9 a.m. and the report indicates, and I'm quoting, no odor at the house, but I do have a mixed odor just south of the high school. But A, it's south of the high school. But B, it was at the high school, it was on the lane, it was at my house, down Troy Street, etc. The whole time. My guess is, one of the rare instances that the odor investigator admitted there was an odor, didn't admit it was at my house because it would be, quote, unreasonably interfering with the comfortable enjoyment of property. Second personal example, Sunday, August 23rd, ongoing throughout the afternoon, I along with multiple neighbors on Gravel Road, Troy Street, and throughout the Leland and Tall Oaks neighborhood withstood a gassy, garbage stench all afternoon. There was no follow-up via phone call or visit. It'll be interesting to see if I receive a report of no odor. I'm guessing I will get a report that states no odor, despite the fact that I was there. Thursday, August 27th, at Waterloo High School, I received a text from a friend at the high school stating, "Dump odor at Waterloo High School is awful." This particular person has given up calling the hotline, but did log a complaint on itstakes.org. My daughter, who no longer lives here, finds the odor repulsive and disgusting, her words. She often notices it before I do when she visits. Personally troubling about this is the nose blind factor. Many residents no longer smell the intensity of the odor. While this may seem like a positive, it's actually problematic because of health issues, which is the third concern I'd like to address. Again, landfill gases are hazardous to our health, whether we smell them or not. I've previously cited medical studies on the dangers of landfill gases, which are a form of air pollution that is, quote, injurious to human life, according to New York State Code 6 CRR NY 221.1, air pollution prohibited. I don't think any of us need a medical degree to confirm that air pollution is injurious. Our neighborhoods, our businesses, and most importantly, our schools and children are being negatively impacted by landfill odors and gases. I have a friend in the audience tonight who's got 2 young children, the oldest of whom is 2, who just recently, while running errands said, "Mommy, there's something in my nose, I wanted to stop." Because she's young enough, she's not nose blind, and she can smell it most likely much more noticeably than we can say. So, I'm asking all of you, along with Town Attorney Morell, to take action. SMI has been in violation of our town and state codes for over 4 years. Contact our environmental attorney. Contact the DEC, both Region 8 and the Commissioner in Albany, to inform them that SMI is operating illegally. Contact SMI to notify them that you will be fining them and or closing them each day that they violate the law. Enough is enough. Tell SMI they must comply or close. Thank you.
Thank you. And as you know, the Waste Management Committee is working on that tonight. We're going to get a report to address the many issues. We've been in contact with the DEC. They are aware, but again, there's no scientific data to substantiate what you are saying, okay? So we have to have the data, and we're going to have to sit down and try to negotiate with SMI, and I think that's going to move forward, hopefully tonight, moving forward, okay?
And Mike,
But the DEC says that they're not in violation. The EPA says they're not in violation. So we have no legal standing. We haven't issued them a permit, okay?
which I appreciate.
And that's been 9 months now, and we have no legal standing without the support of the DEC or the EPA that says that they're in violation.
Personal experience will tell me to tell you that the DEC is a pseudo-friend.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. No. I don't disagree with you.
And I honestly, I appreciate your efforts. You're the first supervisor sitting up there who's actually trying to help with this, so I sincerely appreciate that. I say, let's have the county health department, let's have the DEC start testing, which they're not.
They do, the DEC does test.
Yeah, but again, I would like them to test what we're all selling regularly.
Okay. Well, as I said, hopefully we're making a step in the right direction tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment as well. Ms. Sandless, I'd like to disagree with my colleague here in that the state law and the codes that you referred to unreasonably interfere with comfortable enjoyment of property isn't then followed with the appropriate data to back that up. So I disagree, although data is good, scientific data helps you get the slam done. Nowhere does it say that you have to have the data in order to complain and file a complaint and ask that these get rectified. So he's incorrect in that statement.
I just think we need to keep the pressure on. I mean, until we have to just be relentless. I mean, we know it smells. We know that air pollution, you can ask any medical professional. Air pollution, whether it's the landfill or excessive smog, excessive traffic, is dangerous. And the landfill, by the way, does bring excessive traffic. So you need to be persistent and say, that we don't need you to tell us that it's dangerous. We know it's dangerous. You're shutting down.
2025, the landfill, according to local law, will not be operational.
Exactly.
But it's 2025.
They should be cooperative, as should the DEC until we close it.
Okay, thank you very much. Any motion to accept the regular monthly meeting minutes for August 4th, 2020?
I'll make that motion.
Second, please. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to accept the meeting minutes for the special meeting of August 13th, 2020. This is for the bonding part of the equalization case. Motion, please. You have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, before we get into the reports for the month, there's some things that I'd like to bring people up to date on. First of all, I'd like to thank the zoning committee that's been working for the past few months on looking at our zoning codes, trying to make Seneca Falls more friendly for businesses and development. Dan Amo, Jeff Wilkes, Tom Scholes, Stu Jensen, Ann Sandroni, Dean, Pat, and from MRV, Jane Nicholson. Great work is being done, and we have 4 immediate changes for your review tonight. We'll be asking them to go over the public hearing at the October 6th meeting. All the changes have been overwhelmingly approved by the committee. 3 of them will make Seneca Falls a better business-friendly community. We'll be meeting on a monthly basis, and we'll continue the process. The 4th change addresses fire pits, which we'll talk about, and provides specific language to deal with our community members' concerns about open fires. Our current code on fires is completely outdated. The Town Administrator Feasibility Committee is up and running. The committee has been selected. I want to thank people who have volunteered to serve on this committee. Chairperson Jerry Macaluso, Danielle Worth-Bonifiglia, Don McKevney, Steve Gleason, Dave Clark, Ann Sandroni, the Reverend Leah Nafila, Councilwoman Dawn Dyson, Samantha Crane, Bob Marco, Charles Capolino, and Dave Swenson, and Tara, I'm going to not say this, Montany, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, Sarah, if I didn't pronounce that right. But they're going to take a tour of the town offices on September 9th, I believe, and they're going to figure out in the next couple of weeks whether they're going to meet live or on a Zoom meeting, and they're looking to do their first meeting on September 18th, and then they will meet on a regular basis and come back with a recommendation sometime in January or February. I'd like to thank those people for volunteering. I've sent out budget memos to all the department heads. They are due back to Bev Warfel by September 18th. I've asked for a 10% budget increase for starters. I've asked for each department to submit their supply list for the town-wide bidding as a whole based on our new procurement policy. Current practices is every department has a supply list for office supplies. I'm trying to combine that based on our procurement policy and put it out to an RFP or a state bid and try to save some money there. Finally, Benton Creek was cleaned out last Wednesday. I developed a pretty good contact with somebody, an engineer actually, Jim Peterson and myself, working on another project, and I mentioned it to him, and he says, hey, I know somebody in maintenance, and he made a phone call, and a couple weeks later they were here and cleaned out Benton Creek, which they own. At least cleaned out the way it's supposed to be, but at least they took away some stuff. Okay? Tomorrow, if you haven't noticed, there's a fountain in the canal in front of the Women's Hall of Fame. The fountain will be here for about 10 days. This is something from the Power Authority and the Canal Corporation to help us celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. And it's a pretty neat thing. If you get a chance to see it in the next 10 days, it'll be on, I think, 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. At nighttime, it's illuminated, and it has, I think, 80-foot capacity on the fountain. So, you know, if you're out walking about sometime, some night, I think it'd be something you'd really enjoy. Doug and Joe Tullo and myself have a couple meetings with vendors. We're looking at trying to update our meter technology to make it completely automated. So nothing definite, we're just listening, we're trying to gather some facts and so forth. It would save on labor, it would actually eliminate a position, it would save on time obviously. Billing would come directly to the office there would be no error, human error. So in the long run, it would be save money, but there's obviously some expensive upfront costs, but just want to give you the heads up that we're looking at that. Okay? And finally, I'd like to apologize to Kyle Black and SMI. Last month, one of our council people tried to adjourn the meeting while you were about ready to speak. So, Kyle, on behalf of myself on behalf of myself, I do apologize, okay? And I want to remind everybody who sits on this board, we will treat people with dignity and respect. It does not matter if you disagree with them, if you don't like them. When you're in official capacity, we will treat people with dignity and respect, okay? I will not allow us to belittle people, okay? We've lived through that way too long, and we're moving forward in the right direction. So I appreciate that we continue to treat people with dignity and respect. So Kyle, again, I apologize. Okay, we're going to do reports. We're going to do this a little bit different tonight, and moving forward, council people, you see your name is after each report. Your name is after that because you are responsible for these committees, and you are the most informed to answer any questions. I'm afraid that we're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be meeting with your department heads on a monthly basis. I don't think that's happening. In fact, I know it's not happening, and it needs to start happening, okay? It's your responsibility to make arrangements with the department heads to meet with them at your convenience. So if you can't meet until 6 o'clock at night, then you need to let them know, and they have to make the adjustment to meet with you. Okay? But unfortunately, for the past 7 months, some of you have not been meeting with your departments, and that's not acceptable. And I don't care if they say, we don't have anything to report, you still should report, you should meet with them, and you should ask questions. That's your responsibility as the committee people.
Excuse me.
Yes.
If you look at my pocket calendar, you'll see that I have listed on there all the meetings that I've had with my committees.
Did I say, Dave, you're not doing it?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, do you want me to go into detail? I can go into detail. I don't want to go into detail. Okay? Did I say, Doug, you're not meeting with people? I didn't say that. Okay? I just said we all need to meet with our people. That's all I said.
You listed one name here. Aren't there typically 2 people on the committee?
I'm sorry?
Are there typically 2 people in each committee?
There is. The name is the chairperson. Chairperson, yes.
Okay, just the chairperson listed. Thank
No,
you.
chairperson, there's 2 people on each committee, yes.
Right, but just the chairperson is listed on here.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the dog control officer's report for the month of May. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to accept the zoning officer's report for the month of August. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
B. How come that list of what they're doing, go for anything you said on them, reports or what do you think of this for? No, it's not this. In the past, we've always had listed it. They were going to put on reports or whatever. A new report?
I guess I don't understand the question.
Well, in the past, it's always been listed, like 26 Chapin Street, who it was, what the project cost was, and used to say putting a shed in or putting a porch on or whatever. It's not
It came out that way. So we've been proud of the program we have, and we've been in touch with Williamson, they're trying to work it out, but from the past, something has been screwed up.
It's usually printed landscape, it's not this time, so maybe just chop the column.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Don, you're up.
We had met last week with the rec center, and Jim said that he,
Excuse me, Don. You want to start off by making a motion to accept the Parks and Recreation in a second,
I
and
made
then
a
any
motion to
discussion,
accept
okay?
the Park and Recreation Committee meeting report. Go ahead.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Jim, anything to add?
No, we did meet with the Rec Commission and Dave and Don all together, which we haven't done. Commission hadn't met in a while because of COVID. It was a great meeting, I thought. I did want to announce to the board, and Don and Dave are aware, that the Rec Commission is down 2 members now. We lost one who opted not to re-up, and the other one moved out of the town of Seneca Falls. Commission is planning to advertise and get some people interested, and they're going to meet in September, and Dave and Don will be in attendance and help us with that, and hopefully have an opportunity to come to you folks with a recommendation as far as how to fill those 2 seats. And other than that, we're gearing up the maintenance of the building. Obviously, you see the floor's been done and that kind of stuff. Been a busy week, what with the farmers market moving over and everything going on in the park. Been a good week, and we're looking forward to start slowly but surely, see how we can get this building open at least a little bit here or there and take little baby steps as we go forward. So we'll be getting back with you over the next month to 2 months to see if we can kind of get back in business a little bit. And I'll entertain any questions, and Don can answer them as well.
Any questions?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Councilman Avery.
I move that we accept the report of the Highway Department.
Second.
We meet right before, several days before each meeting, each of our meetings each month. So we met last week. We got a comprehensive list of the things that they've done for the Highway Department has done in the month of August. Jim, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just one thing. I've been getting a lot of complaints about the garbage being picked up. A lot of the residents are not getting their garbage picked up. I've worked with Nikki on this. She's called several times. The cemeteries are not getting picked up by the supplier. And this is only in the former village, not on the outskirts. So I just want the board to be aware that we're getting a lot of complaints that these residents are not getting their garbage picked up. That's all I got.
My own experience is often not picked up on the appointed day, but they'll get it by the next day. People are complaining late in the day when they should have been picked up for whatever reason. It's often.
Is that a 1-year contract? No? 2-year contract? 3 years. Okay. Maybe it's time that I have met with them. I have met with them on a different reason, but maybe it's time to bring him in. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Kill somebody, right? Yes. Maybe Doug, you and I and Jim can have a sit down with him and express our concerns. Okay? In person.
All in favor of accepting the report? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Councilman Churchill, you're up.
Well, I think everybody's read the assessor's report. I don't have anything to add, so I'd like to make a motion to accept it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion or anything? Nope. All in favor?
Well, this is your meeting to run.
No. See, from now on, you guys are going to do the report.
I understand
that's
it.
your
You're conducting the meeting.
Nope.
You should ask for the first.
We're all equal, Steve.
Yeah,
We're all equal. All equal. So.
Well, we're all equal. I'm telling you how I think it should be.
Okay, well, good.
I mean, what do you think,
So far, so good. We've all
Supervisor's role.
All in favor of accepting the report, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Morrell.
Okay, so there's nothing to report other than the matters that are already on the agenda.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Avery.
Yes, make a motion to accept the report from the Water and Sewer Department.
Second.
Again, we meet prior to this meeting, so we met last week. Projects that they've got going on, and Joe will fill you in, but the pH adjustments going on, the water tower is being worked on. As Supervisor Ferrara said, we met with 2 different vendors for updating the technology associated with the water meters. And that will, if we move forward with that, that'll create some savings further down the line. Joe?
Yeah, I have something to add about blue-green algae select microsystem. So since last meeting, we've had two hits on our raw water for microsystems, low levels, and none on our treatment work. So plant's working just fine. But there is blue-green algae in the lake.
So the algae's coming in, but it's being treated without going on.
Yeah.
Joe, this is the season, right?
Yep.
Coincides with my allergies.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Councilman Galais.
I'd like to make a motion to town justice report.
Second.
I've attended almost every day and checked with clerks to see how things are going. Attended court hearings. They're doing social distancing. They had so many allowed in the courtroom at a time. The chairs are wiped out when somebody comes in. Goes before the judge. There's a distance between them and the judge. When they get done, the officer will go over and wipe the chair down and make sure it's over. Otherwise, things are fine.
And I can, unfortunately, the court system has provided 3 new desks for the court clerks. And they're coming in tomorrow or Thursday. And I say unfortunately because the delivery would just get them in the door. And there's 7, each desk weighs 500 pounds. And there's 7 pieces to each desk. And we're responsible for taking it from there. So I'm going to be stealing a couple of people. I'm going to be looking for a couple of people, Joe or Jim, to help out. I'll let you know. But so the new desk doesn't cost the town any money, but we have to move the old desk out, put the new desk together, and that's either happening tomorrow or Thursday. Eileen will let me know when they come. Okay. Any further discussion?
All those in favor?
Aye. Mr. Baker, anything to add?
I think everything I had to talk about was on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to accept MRV grant writing services. I'm sorry? What did I forget? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Churchill, you're up. I'm sorry.
Make a motion to approve the police chief's report as presented in an email.
I second. Any discussion? No discussion?
He's got his hand up.
Any discussion? I guess there's no discussion.
Just a couple things. I'd just like to remind everybody that school is opening very shortly on the 8th, and to please look for those bright yellow buses with flashing lights and watch for kids walking, and there's going to be a lot more movement. And then around our town, there's going to be a lot more parents dropping kids off, a lot more kids walking to school this year, so please be careful. Quick update on the Governor's Executive Order 203 in reference to police reform. I've been meeting with the Criminal Justice Advisory Board on a plan for not only Seneca Falls, but all law enforcement in Seneca County. We've been meeting with the sheriff, Chief Godley from Waterloo PD, and we have a forum that we're going to be doing here on September 23rd at 6 o'clock, where we're going to present the plan of how we're going to abide by Executive Order 203, and also a questionnaire that we're going to present, that we're going to be putting out on our social media pages and other sources, looking for feedback from the community of different ways of how we can be a better police department. All law enforcement in the county, including myself, are taking this executive order not really as a mandate, but as a way of just taking the time to really look at our police department to see what things we could do better in this community. So I want to take this very seriously. We have to keep our social distancing at this community forum to 50 people. It's going to be down here, set up something similar to this. And there'll be a quick PowerPoint and then information on the questions that we're going to be asking the community and the timeline on when we want those answers back and what we're going to do with that information. And then I'll hold a second forum probably in the next month or two with a brief outline of what I feel our agency needs to do for change. So if anybody would like to come down, it'll be again September 23rd at 6 o'clock here at the Community Center.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting the police department report for the month of August, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. So carried. I make a motion to accept the MRB grant writing services report for the month of August. Have a second, please. Second. Any discussion? Emily, anything to add? That was good. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Councilman Avery. Seneca Falls Development Corporation.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the monthly report from the Seneca Falls Development Corporation.
Second.
If you're not aware, the Seneca Falls Development Corporation is the economic development arm of the town government in fashion. We also meet once a month. They are public meetings, although you wouldn't have a vote if you attended, but you can always come in and see what we're doing. So if you're interested in that, give me a shout. We're just going to run down the report very, very quickly. Last week, each of the 5 days of the week, Seneca Falls was featured on Channel 3's Your Town series. And so I think if you search Channel 3 Syracuse, go to their site, I think now you can see the whole thing put together, all 5 segments put into one. It may not be up yet. Some of them they've done other towns as part of the series. There may be a little bit of a lag, but it'll be there sooner or later. Greg Zellers, the executive director, is still maintaining the Reopen Seneca Falls website, which is meant to give business people links, important information about the reopening process, which, there hasn't been a whole lot happening here, but it's still going on. Seneca Falls Farmers Market, you saw as you came in, every Tuesday, 3 to 7 through early October. And starting next week after tomorrow's fountain event, they'll be back over in People's Park where they've been in the past. Associated with that, on the Welcome to Seneca Falls signs, you may see there's a small sign across the bottom that says, that lists the farmers market. We also plan to have signs added for birthplace of women's rights, some sort of inspiration of It's a Wonderful Life, perhaps the fact that we are a Purple Heart community, and then also have one space there for people, organizations like Canal Fest, to put up a temporary advertising for their event, and that will come and go and be replaced by somebody else. We are, by the way, trying to take all of the lost 2020 time as far as the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, and some of the things that we did not get to do this summer, we're hoping to move over into 2021. So the festivities are not going to end at the end of this year. You should soon see banners going up across the street, across Fall Street and so on. We're going to try to jack the party back up and then keep going through 2021. The Staycation Program, 6 communities throughout New York State, all on the canal, were chosen for some sort of program that allows people to staycate. And so we were chosen, and so right out back here, you can get a free kayak rental and go explore Van Cleef Lake. You get a map of what you're passing over. Unfortunately, our built water's not clear enough that you can actually see it, but it's a very interesting map of what used to be in the flats, and that program goes on for 1 more weekend through Labor Day. So if you're interested, you go, I believe, to the New York State Staycation Program, or you may, the kayaks are coming from Fuzzy Guppies in Waterloo, so maybe you can contact them directly. The DRI is what we're all waiting for, and the update from last month is that there is no update. As I told you a month ago, we sent them $15.88 million worth of projects. The state will narrow it down to 9.7, and those will be the ones given the final go-ahead. So it's an exciting mix of public projects and private. There's museums, there's performing arts, there's canal shore enhancements for boaters, and all sorts of things. It's a great list of projects. And it's a little scary to see what to turn it over to the state and let them choose which ones are the best. But by the same token, I'm kind of glad they didn't make me choose, because it's very difficult to choose. They were great projects. But the final word could happen at any time, and it just hasn't yet. It's been delayed like everything else, I guess. I think that's it. I'll stop talking.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, we have some other committee reports that Doug and Steve will report on under old business. So we'll hold off on that. Moving to communications, I make a motion to accept the communications received and filed as of September 1st, 2020. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Just to note, if you look at the communications, there's a couple of things in there. We've been notified by Home Leasing that they applied to the New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal for some credits and some grants. This is related to the Huntington building, and so they're keeping us updated, but they have to keep us, we're part of the equation, so by us accepting your application and so forth, they can move forward with that. So hopefully that'll happen. We also received the Seneca Meadows Independent Accountant Report every year. Buffington and Hopeland CPAs take a look at Seneca Meadows records and financial records to ensure that the town is getting their part of the host agreement contribution. So that report has been filed and everything is reported there. This is the first time in about 3 years, I think, that the report has been done. I had contacted Buffington and Hopeland before COVID broke out, and then they got delayed because of COVID. The report is included in the communication, so hopefully you get a chance to look at that. Any further discussions on communication? All in favor of accepting communications, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Old business, I don't think there's anything to report on sale of surplus property.
Correct. We have the RFP is out for 10 Fall Street. There's been 60 State Street is caught up in the DRI cycle, and 115.12 continues to be listed.
Thank you. Town demand related to SMI. I guess now Doug and Steve or whoever is going to cover this one.
I wrote this report, so this is me talking, but so there may be things that there are two committees working on this. This ad hoc committee received Pat and myself, and then the Waste Management Advisory Committee. And so we've been working on it for several months, and this is what we came up with. So can I go ahead and read the whole thing? You mind?
Not at all.
All right. Please, Councilor.
I wish everybody did.
All right, so the ad hoc Town Board Landfill Operating Permit Committee and the Waste Management Advisory Committee met together on August 11th to develop final recommendations to the Town Board pertaining to the 2020 annual operating permit for Seneca Meadows Landfill. After many months of discussion by both groups, the following are recommended as conditions the landfill must meet before the permit is approved. One, the Seneca Falls Town Board should insist that the landfill demonstrate consistent and recurring compliance with New York State standards for hydrogen sulfide as it pertains to air emissions and leaching. The Town Board should insist on this regardless of whether or not the Seneca Meadows landfill is currently required to do so by the DEC. Second, the Seneca Falls Town Board should work with the developers of itstinks.org website to strengthen and refine it so as to better serve the town's needs. The town should insist that Seneca Meadows agree to cover the development cost up to $20,000. The recommended improvements include, but are not limited to, development of an app that the public can use to report a landfill odor. Stinks.org is currently a website. Complaints should be reflected on a GIS map that's viewable by everyone, as is currently done on stinks.org. The app will generate data showing location, time, date, weather conditions, and the results of any investigation that took place. That data must be available to develop into reports, charts, etc. And this is the part that's missing from stinks.org. We don't get anything after the fact to show us what's happening. That data would then be shared with the town, the landfill, and the DEC, and must be acceptable as part of the official record. And then finally, the app would be completely open and transparent to the town, to the landfill, and the DEC, but should remain a property of the town. So those are the two things. It's something like stinks.org and the hydrogen sulfide. Then just two additional thoughts. The town board should expect the landfill to either demonstrate that they're already in compliance regarding hydrogen sulfide, or submit a mutually agreed upon plan to the town as to how they will prove compliance, and should insist upon a signed agreement regarding the cost of strengthening stinks.org. At that point, the plan and the agreement, the 2020 permit, would be submitted for town board approval. And then my last thought is progress on these 2 points pertain to the 2020 permit only. It does not preclude potential new sticking points on permits in future years. Respectfully submitted.
Questions, comments? Doug, I don't think Mr. Dickinson would be very happy.
What?
I don't think Mr. Dickinson would be very happy with it.
Okay.
Our hydrogen sulfide chemical equation is going to change to H2S.
Forgive me. I'm a musician. I stopped taking science as soon as I possibly could.
You were here with Mr. Dickinson.
Oh, yeah, I told him.
I'd just like to add, and again, I know we've had some discussions, I think the It Stinks app is okay. But we also look at some technology with the Waste Management Committee early on. It's much more expensive technology. It's in the probably $80,000 range per year. But what I liked about it is that it can give you the scientific data, specifically what the odor is, okay? What chemical is being emitted that we are having an issue with. And it also points out exactly where the person is, and it takes into consideration all of the climate conditions, as far as wind direction, et cetera, and it will trace the smell, whether it be from the landfill or someplace else, to pinpoint to the exact. And I understand it's a lot more money, I get that part of it, okay? But if we're gonna do something, I like to spend the money and do it. You know, I'd be all in favor of spending it. If that's something your committee has moved forward and doesn't want to do, I just, again, if anybody else is interested, I don't know. But, you know, if we're asking SMI to contribute to the extinctor, we can ask them to contribute to this technology. I would think if everything is okay, I would think they'd like to have some evidence to back it up. So, just a thought. Anybody?
My concerns with the technology we looked at were, A, that it is tremendously expensive. And you're talking about rental contracts and equipment and so on, that was just money after money every single year. And the focus of those receptors was so small that you either can only aim it perhaps at the old village, and you're not going to get our own residents that live further north or further south, or, and you certainly won't get anybody, you know, this app could conceivably be used by residents of Waterloo, residents of Tyre, residents to give us a more complete picture. We're talking about a few receptors between the landfill and the village, and it would cover only that area. Or we'd have to pay so much money to have enough receptors to cover even the town effectively that the cost just gets absurd. I think we can do it with this. You're right, it doesn't give us everything, but everything we're talking about as far as odor is subjective now anyway. You know, even Miles people, when they come out, they say there is no odor. That's a subjective judgment. So it would give us something we don't have now. The town code is subjective, the state code is subjective. The process we're using now is subjective. Instinct.org is subjective. So that would give us something that we don't have now, but it's just tremendously expensive.
Can we put that in, come out for a budget?
The extinctor? With the vote here?
No, for this $80,000.
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe the landfill might kick in half or something.
We would still have to, you know, we've only seen it because of COVID-19. This company's out of Canada. Obviously, they can't travel to the U.S. at the moment. I would never even entertain putting something like that in the budget unless I've seen it myself in person and, you know, talk to the people, the engineers of that company and so forth. But, you know, it's something we can talk about moving down the road as we go through the budget process. And you're right, we need more receptors to cover the area. I think the original price included maybe 4, and at least that would cover some of the hot spots like Wheeling Drive, Rittner Lane, Troy Street, the schools, moving south on 414. Benedette seemed to be a big area of concern all the time. It would cover some of the area, but certainly wouldn't cover the whole. And I think that if it comes to the point where they can come here and meet with the Waste Management Committee or the town board, we'll do it, and we can maybe put in the budget. I mean, after all, we received over $3 million, and if the technology is there, that would pinpoint exactly what the chemical is, so we can identify that and where it's coming from, specifically, I'd be all in favor of it. I'll let you know how things go and see if we can get that here. Okay, Doug, thank you. Pat, Steve, thank you.
I'd like to ask though, Pat, how should we proceed with making this?
Well, this report is being presented to the town board to suggest a position for the board to take in relation to this, to the operating permit. So there's 2 recommendations for conditions to be imposed upon granting, to be satisfied in order to grant the permit. one relates to hydrogen sulfide testing, which currently there is a threshold that's set by the DEC, but there's no testing being done to know whether or not it's met. And then the second part of it is the instincts portion of the recommendation, which would be more in line with the odor reporting and data collection. It would not be nearly as extensive as what you're suggesting. So you have two proposals. It's the report again is for the town board, is a report to the town board, so the town board can come up with a position in relation to this permit. Is the town board ready to do that, or are we still discussing other options? I guess that's what
Well, I guess I'd like to make a motion that we have you draw up our position here, the 2 points to be presented to the landfill.
Okay.
And I'd like to make that a motion.
Any discussion? So I can understand your motion, you would like the town attorney to draw up some type of a document we will present to SMI officially on behalf of the town board that will include these 2 points from the committee.
So it's the town board's permit to issue or deny or impose conditions on. So if the town board wants to impose these conditions, it would require, I need some direction from the town board. So to do that.
So everybody's clear what the motion is on the table in a second? Okay. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Councilman or attorney? You going to put something together?
Sure, I got it. Sure. I'll email it to all of you and get it to, it'll be going to Mr. Turner because I have to communicate with the attorney. And on we go.
There we go. Okay. All right. Barrett Street culvert legal update. Steve, how are we doing there?
Well, the only thing I have to report is that it's going very slow. It appears that the reason that nobody knows who holds title on the property is because it's hard to find out who holds title on the property. So that search is still underway, but it's going to be determined one way or the other. It has to be.
Attorney Swinehart hasn't found anything?
No. Well, the clerk's office, I guess, hasn't been able to come up with the appropriate maps and stuff to indicate that.
So, have you met with Pat and?
I have not met. There's another. I said, I talked to Pat about it. We have an attorney who's working on pro bono. So I'm just relying on the information I'm getting from them.
So, when does this end and when does this start? I don't understand.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned earlier that Canals was there a week ago cleaning out Benton Pond, a small portion of it. They took quite a bit of stuff out of there, some pretty big stuff that could certainly do damage to a culvert, the drainage culvert. And I thought it was also interesting that sitting right above that drainage culvert was a piece of equipment that weighs in 70,000 pounds. For a culvert that somebody's deemed as being unstable and concerned about hydraulic pressure, which I still don't think there's any hydraulic pressure, and then to park a 70,000 pound crane right on top of it was just amazing to see. But that's where it is, and we're still working on trying to figure out who holds title. And as soon as we have something, we'll let you know.
Well, I'll give it another month, okay? And then come October, if there's nothing that you guys can report back, then I'll be looking at some different options. It appears that, I don't know if everybody else on the board, I know Councilman Churchill, you disagree with the engineering report. So come October, if we don't have some...
Don't put words in my mouth, I don't disagree with it. What I was pushing for is for a better inspection. I wanted the canal drained in February, the board wanted the, and not I did, but the board wanted the canal drained or request put in, and so that it could be inspected better. That wasn't done. What I'm not in a hurry to do is spend $2 million of taxpayers' money that we don't have. So I'm just trying to do the due diligence. And it really is a board decision. I mean, you can say October or whatever, but if the board decides that we aren't going to move until we find out who holds title, we don't move until we find out who holds title.
Well, again, come October, if we don't have some direction, I will make a motion in a different direction. And you're right, it is a board decision. Absolutely right. No doubt about it. Absolutely. I'm not going to arbitrarily do it. It would be a board decision.
And right now, the board has decided that I think that they'd like to pursue finding out, and someone has to own that property. It's just not, nobody owns it. We have to find out who. And it may be a little slow process, you know, percolating up through the powers to be in Albany, but somebody owns that piece of property.
No doubt.
And we shouldn't do anything until we find out who. Simple as that. It's a $2 million question.
That's your opinion. Yep. Okay. Frank Knight Sidewalk Project. So, if you remember back in August, because of the delay in this project and so forth and so on, the cost for the town's part increased significantly. So the board directed me to go back and come up with some different options. I met with the school district, along with Jim Peterson and Police Chief Feenstra. I met with Superintendent Klingerman, and we talked about can you live without the path, which connects Miners Academy to Frank Knight School, which is part of the project. Or what would you rather have? Can you live without the path, or can you live without less sidewalks in the project? They were all in favor of living without the path. We didn't know if that was legal, so had contact with B&L, and basically the state has said we don't have to do the path. So what I'd like to do tonight is to get this off our agenda, and we go with option 1, which is the original project, and all the sidewalks would be intact, and by eliminating the path, our contribution would be the same $394,000 that it was supposed to be. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion. We accept option 1, which is to keep the original square footage of the sidewalks that was in the development plan and eliminate the path connecting Miners Academy to Frank Knight. Have a second, please? Second. Discussion.
Yes, would that still be including putting new sidewalks where there are none today?
Putting new sidewalks where?
Where there are none today.
It's putting sidewalks, which was part of the whole design.
Well, the initial design included proposed sidewalks where there are no sidewalks today.
Right.
And then the revised version was to eliminate those areas because there's no sidewalks there today. So in the interest of maybe saving a little bit more money, perhaps we do not put sidewalks where there are none today.
Right.
It's just going to save us a little bit more. Actually, probably quite a bit more. There's quite a few sidewalks that were part of the first plan.
There are requirements on this grant that everything has to be interconnected type of thing. So.
Well, you still have sidewalks on those streets. It's just some of those streets don't have sidewalks on both sides.
Okay.
And it may be that the property owners would just as soon have it. I mean, I don't know, but if it can save money and there's no need to put them there.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would hesitate to make a blanket statement that because there are no sidewalks now in any certain spot, that there shouldn't be.
I agree.
We've got approach to school, and the idea of having good sidewalks, broad sidewalks on both sides of the street just makes perfect sense to me, whether or not there are sidewalks now.
I agree. Any further discussion?
I do have one other comment, and that is also up in that area, if you drive through there, I don't know if anybody has taken any note, and I don't know what the rules are on this, but there's some brand new sidewalks in that area. Some quite lengthy sections. In front of the Bonifiglia, Mrs. Folks' house, his old homestead, that whole corner area, those sidewalks are in superb condition, have been put in fairly recently.
And they won't be replaced. They're not included, they won't be replaced. The same thing happened.
Well, they are part of the drawing here.
As far as the specific location.
This is not Peter's, this is Matt Schooley from MR. Peter doesn't have anything to do with this. Those new sidewalks like in the Franklin and
This is on Clinton Street. This is on Clinton Street, and they were included. They're the sidewalk that go right up to the school, right here. These are all brand new sidewalks, essentially in perfect shape. And my question is, do they have to be replaced, or can they go out and test?
Once the project is final, you can, part of the design, you can determine what's included, what's not included, based on the drawing conditions. Whatever the configuration the board agrees to, you can.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, because part of that initial drawing was to replace these new sidewalks. That's why I'm discussing this.
This happened at Franklin too. There were sidewalks that were perfectly, almost brand new and so forth. They didn't touch that. Okay, they just built into it, and it became less of a, reduced from.
Well, I don't have the drawings in front of me tonight, but I'd have to review that drawing again before.
Any further discussion?
If we're going back to phase one, I'd like to.
The only thing on this point of caution is if they're brand new, but they're not as wide as the sidewalks in the grant language. And
They would be the same way. 5 feet, right, is the code, Jim?
Yes.
Right.
So all new sidewalks that people put in are 5 feet wide?
Yes, well, 4 to 5. It all depends on how they set the contract up.
I mean, we're approving somebody's reimbursement now on State Street.
As far as the town sidewalk goes, the standard procedure is 4 feet. But if they're going to put new sidewalks in, they're recommending 5 feet.
Right, but much of this is replacement. What Steve is talking about is obviously replacement.
Well, these are
So I hate to see something that's brand new but not quite wide enough get ripped out.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what has to happen. I don't know.
Well, I know towards the corner of Ovid and Garden Street, the property owner on that, his sidewalks were about 5 years old, and they didn't touch those sidewalks. And over on 80 or 68 Garden Street, those sidewalks were relatively new, and they didn't touch those sidewalks either on the Franklin project. So I'm assuming that would still happen. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Opposed. That's carried 4-1. So, we'll get started on that. Town Manager Feasibility Committee, it's, again, I don't need to go into any more detail on that. It's happening. Kingdom Road Sewer Main update. Steve, how'd your meeting go with Peter? Councilman Churchill?
Yes, sir.
How did your meeting go with Peter?
My meeting with Peter.
Back in August, you weren't comfortable because you don't know enough about the project. And you were going to meet, you and Don were going to meet with Peter to get updated.
I would like to have that presented to the full board so the board can discuss.
Again, as I said in August, I don't need to have it presented to myself. If these folks would like to be presented, be more than welcome. I've seen it. I invited all the new board members to a December meeting that B&L put on for this proposal. Everybody was there, okay, and saw. Okay, you were not able to meet the meeting, okay? Again, you said you were going to hook up to find out what's going on. So that didn't happen again.
Didn't happen, that's right.
Okay, so I don't need to see another hour and a half presentation from B&L about this project. Okay? If Mr. Avery or Mr. Deleuze needs to, that's completely up to them. And I would say, if they want to see it again, facilitate a meeting with the town engineer so you can get brought up to date. But by October, we need to start making some decisions.
Well, we're going to be busy in October.
Pardon me?
We're going to be busy in October.
We are. Okay. Service agreement with T-Mobile, just so you know that you guys approved that, it's been signed and delivered. And again, that's for the consolidation of Sprint and T-Mobile for the new agreement on the bandwidth simulation tower. Before we go to new business, our next regularly scheduled meeting would be, Dave, you missed the best part of the meeting. I'll email you. Our meeting is, yeah, I'm sorry, down, all right, we'll get what we could. I am, new business, approval of special events.
There are none, Mike.
I love to hear that, Seneca Falls Police Department budget modification. Chief Pincher is requesting the town board approve a budget modification transferring $5,000 from the education line A3120.408 to the equipment line A3120.200. The transfer funds will be utilized to purchase Lepta software system. Can I have a second, please? Chief, you want to give us a real quick update there?
Sure. So we have some equipment money that we'd like to purchase this Lepta software system. Would you like me to explain exactly what that system is now, or do you want to wait till we go into the...
Wait till we get to the, well, you can do it now.
Okay. So, Lepta software system is going to, it's obviously a software application that is going to properly track all of our officers' training right from the beginning of the academy through their entire career. So as you know, with the changes in law enforcement, everyone's concerned about law enforcement, their proper training, what they're getting trained in, when they're getting trained in it. This is going to archive all of our current officers, and then moving forward, all of the officers' training from the start of their career to the finish. So if anyone ever wants to know if particular officers have whatever training for not only that year, but their career, it's easily accessible. It's all on one platform. It takes care of all of our online training, in-person training, yearly mandatory training, everything. It tracks all that. Second part of the system that's great is use of force. So everybody is aware that use of force is a big issue with law enforcement, or a big topic, I should say. This tracks our use of force reports from everything from whether it's male, female, black, white, the weight, whether injuries were sustained to the officer, to the civilian, everything that you can possibly think that this, the type of use of force that was used, it tracks that and it makes it readily available to me. It also gives early warning signs. So let's say if I have a particular officer that uses 5 uses of forces in 1 week, or whatever you set the parameters to be, it's going to notify me that this is going on ahead of time, so I can look into it. It's a system that I can see that many different agencies are going to need to go to in the future, and it's going to comply with all federal and state guidelines and FOIL requests that are coming to me that are going to easily be able to put this information out to the public.
Okay. I'm going to withdraw my motion for the budget modifications, because I think the resolution to purchase the software should come first, and then maybe I'm backwards, and then the budget modifications. If we're not going to approve the software, we don't have to do a budget transfer.
That's fine. I asked, and this is the way we thought it should go, but I'm good with it.
Just my stupidity.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so. Oh, right there in front of me. I make a motion I withdraw my motion for the budget transfer.
I think it was, okay, I got it.
Resolution, whereas it's been determined that Seneca Falls Police Department needs a software system designed to adequately correct statistical data for such events as training and use of force incidents. Therefore, be resolved, the police department purchase Leftist software system at the cost of $4,655. Money for this purchase will come from a police department transfer. Can I have a second for that motion, please? Second. Any further discussion other than we heard Chief give us? All in favor, please say aye. I'm sorry?
Yeah, Chief, I have a few questions. Is this a cloud-based application, or does it require the purchase of another server?
It's cloud-based.
Cloud-based?
Yep. CJIS certified.
That's great. The other question I have, is this something that some of the other municipalities are going to use, or are they using something different? I guess what I'm looking at is, it sounds like everybody, all municipal PDs, county PDs would benefit from a program like this, and they're probably looking at one similar or the same. I mean, can you answer, are they looking at the same? Because I think you could probably leverage each other's knowledge once you get this thing deployed.
Yeah, I don't know if they're looking into this. I know there are agencies in Onondaga and Monroe and Wayne that are using this exact system, but I can't speak for the other agencies in Seneca County.
I mean, is there an opportunity here, though, for perhaps the county to buy a system that all the PDs in Seneca County use? I mean, have we talked to them?
No, they charge, so this company charges based off of per user.
It's per user?
Right, so.
So not a big benefit if you partner with anybody else?
Correct.
All right, that's all I got, really. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. I make a motion to have the town board approve a budget modification transferring $5,000 from the education line 83120.408 to the equipment line 83120.200. The transfer of funds to utilize to purchase Leftist software system. Have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. We took care of electrical contract services already. Highway resolution. Whereas the highway department would like to purchase large totes from Reherb. Did I say that right, Jim?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Your guess is good, mine. All right. Reherb Pacific Company for the town not to exceed $7,000. Whereas the totes will be put into an inventory for the residents. Now therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the purchase of large totes not to exceed $7,000. Can I have a motion for that, please?
Second.
Do I have a motion? Somebody make a motion? Thank you. And I second it. Discussion.
Yes, Mike, these totes are large 95-gallon totes. I've gotten one bid, and that is because these people have the stamp for us already. so we don't have to pay extra to have them stamped in there, our logo and everything. They're $44 a piece, and it's 140 totes that we could buy. The freight alone is over $800 to get these. So these totes are for the residents. A lot of them get damaged every year, and I'm getting low on my stock this year.
Jim, are these the recycling totes?
No, they're the garbage totes, the large garbage totes, yes.
Nikki, we still get reimbursed for the statement once on our
Are these totes available for folks that live outside the border of the old village where the trash is not being picked up by the automated truck?
No, they're not. This is only, these totes are only for the former village people.
So the folks on the outside of the village are paying for people on the inside of it. They're paying for everybody's tote inside the village. Me, I live on the outside of the old village. I gotta go to Walmart and buy a tote.
That's correct.
Doesn't seem quite fair.
No, that's the board's decision.
We should redress that. Well, I mean, one of the proposals, I guess, I mean, because those 90 gallon totes are too big for really to be handled manually. Perhaps we ought to consider providing 55, 60 gallon totes for those folks that are outside the rollaway, for those folks that are outside the old village limits, just to kind of level the playing field.
I can add a couple of things to that. I don't disagree with you. I don't know if Seneca Meadows trucks have the technology to pick up the type of totes that the old village has. I don't think they do.
I don't believe they do either. I mean,
Pardon me?
I don't believe they are. They're just manually dumping them. So those 90 gallon totes are way too heavy for anybody to manually.
So, well, I mean, in the village, or in the old former village, the totes are, because of Cardinal's machine, comes by, picks them up automatically.
I understand that. Okay. But you see the inequity of it. I mean,
absolutely.
The folks throughout the town are buying totes for people inside the old village.
Absolutely.
And I gotta go to Walmart when my tote wears out, and I certainly don't want a 90 gallon tote. I wouldn't want the town to give me one.
I agree 100%.
We've got smaller ones too.
Well,
We do have smaller totes, yes.
They are small.
Right, but they're like what, 45 gallon?
I think they're 30 gallon ones. You can't put very much in it.
You need something in between if you're gonna, for manual garbage.
I'm not opposed to being on the committee of the highway department to look. We have to identify how many residents are in the old town of Seneca Falls, and then hypothetically how much, if every person wanted us to purchase them a tote, how much would that project out, right? And then we can come back in October and I can tell you it's going to cost X amount of dollars to provide these totes to the town residents and go from there.
Folks are going to want to stay away from the October meeting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, somewhat, but perhaps the whole bigger issue needs to be looked at.
Or going the other direction and not
Because
provide
my guess is that we're talking about a few $100,000 to buy totes for everybody who might want one in the town, outside the village. I mean, it's a lot of neighborhoods. You're talking Lower Lake Road, you're talking Kenmore. It's a lot of area. But it does present a problem that ought to be looked at and potentially solved. And I don't know what the solution is, but it certainly isn't fair the way it is today.
When you go in the other direction, you don't provide totes to any of the former village people, then it's all equal. Take them back.
Well, perhaps you don't replace them when they break or they get, I don't know what the answer is, but I know I need a new tote.
Steve, these totes, if they did get damaged and Cardinal couldn't, and you didn't have one, you've got to have this type of a tote for Cardinal to pick up. You have to. They're not going to pick the others up.
So that being said, the former village bought everybody a tote when they first started out. Now, if they get damaged, then the town has to replace them. And we go through a lot of totes. A lot of people call in and say, they're damaged. I gotta have a new one. So for those people to go out, if you say, well, we're not gonna give them to them no more, these people can't go to Walmart or some hardware to buy this type of tote. They do not have them.
Well, how do they get them? They're pretty heavy duty. They're much heavier duty than the tote that I've been rolling out to my curb stop for probably, I don't even know how long, at least 20 years. When I bought at Walmart. Those totes, these blue totes in the village are built like Sherman tanks. So how are they getting damaged if not by that garbage?
Most of them are being damaged by Cardinals. When they come down, if their machine isn't set exactly right, they come down, they smash. The wheel breaks off, or they break, if there's too much pressure, it breaks it, or it breaks the top off.
Going on 13, 14 years old.
So is mine, and it's not built like these.
Look, I agree 100%. It's an inequitable situation, and so if you want to look into it, and either make a decision on A, providing all the former town people and how much that will cost a tote, or the opportunity, or B, if your tote breaks, you have to pay for it yourself. We're not providing it anymore. Or C, take everybody's tote away.
Perhaps we should consider making this trash pickup a line item on the tax. The way the recycling is done for the county.
We can do that also. So obviously there needs to be, well, we have a motion, we have a second, so let's take a vote on this and this resolution, and we'll see how the vote comes out, and we'll go from there. So all in favor of purchasing $7,000 worth of new totes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.
Opposed.
Opposed. That's carried 3-2.
That's a first, isn't it?
But I still will, even though we agreed to do this purchase, I'm still going to do some work to find out how many town residents there are, how much potentially it will cost, get a price for some type of a garbage container, and at least offer it to townspeople.
Well, you can get that information, Mike, from Seneca Meadows. They're the ones that pick up on the outskirts. They've got to have a document how many stops that they made. So you'll be able to
you know how many customers you service?
There's 700-800.
How many?
700-800.
700-800?
Yeah. So you're looking
Okay.
to do that.
Is there a special tote that we'd have to have for that?
No, I mean, we're looking at the little green trucks getting old, so we actually have a full-size truck, and we can put one of
The flip on it?
Yeah, one of the flips in the back. So we'll work with the town, however, work that out.
Okay. Thank you. We have a resolution to authorize the purchase of aggregate materials and hot mix asphalt concrete pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 103, Section 16, paragraph 16, I should say. Can I have a motion for this resolution, please?
So moved.
And second, please. Thank you. This is something that Pat worked on with Mr. Peterson. Pat, you can explain it?
So section 103.16, it's called, it's part of procurement and is part of our procurement policy. But that section specifically is called a piggybacking law, and that is, it's there so that municipalities can use contracts that have been formally bid and let out to certain vendors, and in a sense, we're using their process, we're using their contract, we're piggybacking on the work they've already done. So that's what this is. This is a contract that was set up by Seneca County through, with Seneca Stone, and we're piggybacking on that, and we're going to use the price that they're giving to the county, and so we can get this project taken care of.
Any questions or further discussion? If you remember in August, there was some issue with our procurement policy, so that's why Attorney Morrell and Jim worked us through and so forth. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Therefore be resolved, the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby authorizes the purchase of aggregate materials and hot mix asphalt concrete from Seneca Stone under the terms set out in the Seneca County Board of Supervisors Resolution numbers 104-2020 and 105-2020 pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 103, Paragraph 16. Have a motion. Be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Community Center is in need of paint in the following areas: hallways, meeting room, atrium, and game room. The following towns procurement policy quotes were requested from multiple contractors. However, only one submitted as follows: $4,600 covering labor and materials from Booth Contracting of Waterloo, New York. Can I have a motion to paint the rec center?
So moved.
Second, please. Discussion, please. Jim, anything to add?
No, we just...
Is your office getting painted?
What's that?
Is your office getting painted?
No, it needs it, but we'll do that next year.
We're not going to do that.
We budgeted last year from a company who gave us a quote that is now out of business, but it was substantially higher. They actually put $10,000 in the budget last year for this, and got a really good price. And we thought the time, with the lack of attendance here between kids and adults right now, is the perfect time to get it done. And so Dave spoke, I know Mike, we spoke about it and said maybe we can get this thing done now and get it done before the winter hits. So the time is best, and we did get a pretty good price.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Therefore, the Seneca Falls Town Board approves awarding the contract to Booth Contracting at a cost not to exceed $4,600. Okay, Pat, I'm going to need some help here.
Okay, so this relates back to the public hearing that we had earlier tonight regarding the improvements and the equalization tank project that was explained by Mr. Baker. There are two resolutions. One is titled Order After Public Hearing Authorizing the Increase in Improvement of Facilities under Town Law Section 202-B. So that's one resolution, and that one should come first. And you got that right there, okay. And then the second one is the longer stapled together, and that is the bond resolution. So do the order after the public hearing first.
So we have I need a motion for the order after a public hearing authorizing increase and improvement of facilities under Town Law 202-B. Can I have a motion for this, please?
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Whereas the Town Board of Seneca Falls previously requested Barton and Julius engineers duly licensed by the state of New York to prepare a map plan and estimate of cost and improvement of facilities at the Town of Seneca Falls sanitary system consisting of the Bridgeport Sewer District, the Seneca Falls Sewer District, and the West Seneca Falls Sewer District. And extensions number 1 and 2, and in for the town, consisting of replacing an existing 2.8 million gallon equalization tank that has fallen into disrepair with a new 3 million gallon equalization tank and associated connecting piping incidental thereto, etc., etc. Any discussion on this project? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. The second resolution, authorizing the adoption of the town board of the town of Seneca Falls, that's number one.
So, turn you want to go to
The bond resolution.
the bond resolution.
Okay, thank you. Bond resolution of the town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County, New York, adopted on September 1st, 2020, authorizing the construction of a new equalization tank for the Seneca Falls sanitary sewer system at an estimated maximum cost of $5,458,000, appropriating said amount therefore and authorizing the issuance of up to $5,458,000 of bond anticipation notes and serial bonds of the town to pay the cost of the project. Can I have a motion for this, please? And second? Second. Any discussion here? Again, this just allows us, if we have to, hopefully the state of New York and the federal government and Emily are going to take care of a large portion of this. Right, Em?
Yep.
Yeah. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Okay, so Nikki, you gotta do some stuff on your end, right?
Oh, yes. Roll call.
You need roll call? Okay, go ahead, Nikki.
Okay. Mike Farrar,
Yes.
Dave Doyle,
Yes.
Steve Churchill,
Yes.
Ron Dyson,
Yes.
Doug Avery.
Yes.
We have a resolution for us authorizing adoption of the town board of the town of Seneca Falls of local law number 4 of 2020. We had a public hearing at the beginning of this meeting, or at the beginning of, before this meeting started, I should say. There was no public comment. Can I have a motion to authorize local law number 4 of 2020 as it relates to parking changes?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. I have a resolution before us. The water treatment plant is in need of replacing broken light fixtures, and whereas the 3 quotes were sourced for the parts needed to replace said fixtures found in the town procurement policy. Now therefore be it resolved, the Seneca Falls Town Board to authorize the purchase of 12 light fixtures from Cooper Electric for the price of $2,999.40. Can I have a motion for this, please?
Make a motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Attached to the resolution are the 3 bids, and I can attest to the fact that Cooper is the lowest of the 3 bids. Geneva Electric Supply bid it, and Booth Electric Supply bid it as well. Any further discussion?
Yes, are these, this is for Joe, are these just, like standard?
No, they're in a sedimentation building, wet building.
Yeah. No, I see that they're being replaced with LED.
Right.
But I mean, it says that the water treatment plant is in need of replacing broken light fixtures. And then there's 12 of them. I mean, how do we go so long without replacing broken fixtures?
I'm not positive that all 12 are broken. James made this up and he showed me, and there are, I would say there's 10, probably. Yeah.
How many are there total?
Maybe 20. It's a pretty long building. So it's been a while.
So it sounds like they did
this year. We were gonna replace them beginning of the year, but like We waited for all these other projects to get approved, and we waited to see what the pH adjustment was going to be before we went and did other projects to see, make sure we had enough money. And this was something that we had on the list, but now it's priority time.
And there's a need to replace the actual light fixtures and not just the bulbs themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That's so carried. Motion to accept the resignation of Eric Calabrese from the position of part-time police officer with the Seneca Falls Police Department effective August 31st, 2020. Officer Calabrese worked part-time in the Seneca Falls Police Department after retiring from this agency on April 5th of 2019 as sergeant investigator with over 22 years of service and dedication to the department, citizens, and those that visited Seneca Falls. Chief Peach and the members of the Seneca Falls Police Department wish nothing but the best for Eric in his future endeavors and a continued happy and healthy retirement. I have a letter here saying, Dear Chief Pinstra, I wish to formalize our conversation on July 31st, 2020. Please accept this letter as my resignation from the position of part-time officer with the Seneca Falls Police Department. I wish to thank you and the town board for the opportunity to, within the department. Respectfully submitted, Eric Calabrese. Have a motion for this resignation, please.
Make the motion.
And have a second, please.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you for all the years, 22 years of service. Engagement, Thomas, and Brown, and former coach.
I agree. Thank you, and we wish them, on behalf of the town board, the best of luck. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. I have a request for a special 30-day advance notice for a liquor license application by the Alps Club in Seneca Falls. It is law that the municipality signs off first before the state liquor authority can issue the license. I believe the Alps is changing from being a publicly open facility to a private club type of thing. Based on some communication I had with Jim Peterson, who's a member, I believe this health club is the only health club in the country that is open to the public type of thing. So this allows them to be a club liquor license.
This is for everyday waiver of the period. This is the waiver.
So this is the waiver to waive the 30-day notice, okay? I make a motion to accept this waiver. I need a second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so carried. You gotta send this in, Nikki, right?
I've got a letter just to let you know.
Okay, I have a resolution here to adapt standard workday for retirement purposes. I believe Bev Wark will send everyone an email explaining this. The current standard workdays for retirement purposes: town offices 7 hours, custodian 6, maintenance 8, recreation 8, highway 8, water and sewer department 8, police department 8, and supervisor and town board 6. And I have a motion to accept the standard workday reporting for our town employees.
Make the motion.
Can we have a second, please? Discussion. This is about 2.5 years behind. It was supposed to be completed. It went to the former town supervisor, and I don't know what happened. They followed up with a letter about 6 months later. They sent me copies of all this, and I don't know what happened, but somehow it got dropped. So we have to get this done ASAP because it's affecting one of our former employees' retirement. So that's the purpose of this resolution. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. So carried. I have before us a resolution introducing proposed local law and providing for public hearing. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls believes it would be advantageous to the town to amend the open burning restrictions in the town code. Now therefore be resolved that the local law number 5 of the year 2020, entitled Local Law Amending Section 146-3 of the Seneca Falls Town Code, be and the same is hereby introduced before the town board of Seneca Falls, New York. Can I have a support for this resolution? A motion for this resolution, I should say. And a second, please? Second. Any discussion? Again, a lot of these zoning changes coming up require local laws. We try to combine as much as we can into like one public hearing, which will take place, we'll determine that. Pat, is it going to matter here on the verbiage if we are not going to meet on October 6th?
You know what? Maybe we should have that discussion before we set up the public hearing.
All right, we're going to hold off on that. We have a motion in a second. We'll hold off on that. This is not a motion required, but our October meeting is scheduled for October 6th. By law, we have to have a meeting at or before October 5th to present the initial budget for 2021. So I'm proposing, if you can work in your life, now I'm just thinking, Don, this is probably not going to work in your life. Monday, October 5th, instead of Tuesday, October 6th for our regular board meeting. Our other option is Thursday, October 1st. I'm sorry? October 1st is better for you? Dave, anything? Yeah, how about you?
That's fine. The first would be good for me. Probably better than the Monday.
Steve, is the first work for you?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so our regular town board meeting will be October 1st, 2020. And I suggest we continue to have them here. Does that work for everybody? Okay. So Nikki, you're going to probably have to make some type of a public announcement about that in the newspaper.
Get that on the website.
Mike?
Yeah.
While we're doing that, I know we've got something to get back to, like, when we talk about the November meeting, which is election day.
Oh, really?
No, we don't.
So we can't, we couldn't have this case anyway.
No.
If it's election, would we normally meet on election day?
Well, usually it's Wednesday. Usually it's
we meet
Wednesday.
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we have to release it on the day. We have to have a public hearing on the budget within 3 days of the budget.
Okay, so that's a good point, Doug. We're gonna have to I'll have to get all these dates straightened out before, because we're probably gonna have to have a meeting in between October and November's regular scheduled meeting. Right? We have to have a couple of budget meetings.
We set up the budget meeting for us, yes.
Okay. So I'll get together with you and Deb tomorrow and we'll figure out exactly so we can. And as soon as I know that, I'll get emails out to you guys and some dates that you're out there. Okay, so going back to our resolution that the town board will hold a public hearing on said proposal local law at 6 p.m. on October 1st, 2020. Can I have a motion for this resolution, please?
Hello?
Second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? If you look at the language that we currently have, to allow the town, obviously, no person shall cause any fire to be burned under open air in the town without first having obtained permission from the fire chief and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. I can assure you that no one in the town is doing that. So basically, all of you people who have fire pits,